Hey everybody, so I am in Los Angeles, VidCon, which is the largest YouTube convention, I think, right? It is, right?
I think so.
Okay.
I think it's a pretty safe bet.
All right. I mean, it's like the YouTube convention is happening in just a couple days. So I'm here for this. And kind of the theme of the past several videos I've been doing, I've been on this tangent about how the media has been mislabeling people, and it's almost an attack, right? I talked about Wikipedia and how you had the Brittany Pettibone article calling her, a contributor to alt-right.com, which was not true, and a white supremacist. Then you have Dave Rubin being called far-right. You had the article about me being called alt-right, and it seems like there's this trend. It's been going on for a while. So in the theme of that, and here with somebody who's going to be at VidCon, Mr. Chris Raygun, I figured this would be a great opportunity to talk to you just about your work, what you do, and then a little bit about you being, mislabeled, I suppose.
Right.
But I guess, do you want to just, introduce yourself?
Brief introduction?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I make videos about politics. They're mostly comedic focused, I think. I'm not really a political commentator by any means. I guess...
Yeah, you definitely are.
I guess so, yeah. I didn't really intend that.
I mean, I think, my favorite thing you've ever done is the Punch a Nazi video.
The musical.
The musical, right.
Right.
So... I don't know, how did that come about? What is it and how did that come about?
Well, it's part of a series that I do, Social Justice, the musical. I mean, it just happened to be Social Justice. I was doing musicals before that, but then this one kind of took off. But it's basically just song parodies about any kind of thing happening in the social justice sphere at the moment. The Punch a Nazi thing was a more recent one. Initially, one of the earlier ones was something about trigger warnings and political correctness and stuff like that.
So recently, you were called an alt-right troll. You were called alt-right,
yeah, by Vox and a couple other people.
Do you know why?
I think it's because of the focus of the jokes. Because I feel like if you make fun of social justice type people, it must mean it by definition it's okay, so you're on the exact opposite side.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I could possibly think of. Really.
So it's the interesting thing that we see is. Well, let me preface this. I was told that you were actually a lefty kind of guy, that you liked Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
How would you describe your political alignment?
I would say I'm pretty liberal. I mean, I voted Bernie in the primary, and when he lost, I was like, fuck this shit.
So you were Bernie was your...
I was Bernie all the way. I didn't agree with everything he said, right? But to me, he clearly seemed okay, I can get behind this one more than I can get behind the other one. And I didn't like Hillary, I didn't like Trump. I abstained from the election.
Bernie is pretty left.
He's pretty fucking left.
So... For you, and you're actually Bernie was your guy, and then for them to call you alt-right simply because you make jokes, right? About the subject matter. It's interesting. We're seeing basically the same thing with someone like Dave Rubin. Right. Simply for interviewing conservatives, they call him far-right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know. It's a weird situation because I feel like a lot of people nowadays kind of need a villain, And I feel like if you're behind this very virtuous cause, you're behind this kind of social justice cause, it's a very moralistic kind of stance. So the people who you're opposing need to be the worst of the worst. Otherwise, Nazis. They need to be white supremacists. They need to be all these terrible things because that justifies kind of everything that you would do afterwards.
So
I think
that musical Punch a Nazi,
right?
I found it hilarious, right? I think personally,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, but I feel like even if you really do think Nazis are a problem, there's comedy to be seen. Things can still be funny whether or not you disagree or agree.
Right. That's a comment I get a lot on the musicals specifically, where it's I remember there was a very notorious social justice subreddit. I think it was called Gamer Ghazi. It came up during the whole movement.
Yeah.
And they linked one of the first musicals I did was Ain't No Rest for the Trigger, and they were like, I hate this guy, but this was really well done.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So it's all right, well, that's good at least. People can appreciate something about it, at least.
But, in that video, you talk about how they're calling everyone a white supremacist, right?
Right.
And then they call you alt-right. It's that you did this joke, and they respond by doing what you did. It made a joke about.
It proves my point. A lot of it, it's weird because a lot of the stuff that I get kind of just makes my case for me. I don't really have to do much of any legwork at all.
So I guess here's the big question.
Right.
You say you're a lefty kind of guy, but you also make jokes about the social justice stuff.
Yeah.
There's, someone like me, I'm center-left libertarian, but I have no problem being critical of the left or the right.
Right.
You have Dave Rubin, he's a liberal dude, and he has no problem sitting down and having interviews with people who are far-right or conservative. it seems to me like there's people who are kind of, I don't know how to describe it. It's not alt-right, right? That's like a conservative, nationalistic white thing.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a group of people that are critical of the mainstream culture, whatever it might be. And that includes, I feel like you're included in that. I am to a certain extent. Dave Rubin, like the people I just mentioned.
Right.
Whether you're liberal or conservative, we've been critical of certain kind of practices and behaviors of people calling for violence and things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that? Do you feel like
the problem is with me is like I feel like there's a lot of quick, let's put this person in a basket. Let's put a label on this person, and a lot of times people don't necessarily fit cleanly into those groups. I would consider myself very, very liberal. Maybe some other people would disagree. I would find that difficult to prove, but
it's like you have made jokes about social justice.
Well, I think the problem is that like they see my content and they're like, oh, he doesn't make fun of Trump enough. That's what the thing is. Like I don't. But to me, it's just like
that's what they say about Dave. He doesn't criticize Trump
exactly.
enough.
But it's like I criticize Trump. I just don't devote my channel to it because I find it's not that funny.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody's doing it.
But it's yeah, no, right, exactly. And I also feel like for me, and this is a bit different from what you're doing. It's the point is, you be fair to the people. Don't misrepresent their views. Right. When it comes to interviewing Trump supporters or talking to people on the left and the right, I try to just let people have their piece. But apparently, it's simply the act of talking about an issue or not talking about a specific issue makes you alt-right these days.
Yeah. Like if you haven't explicitly said something about a specific thing on Twitter, then you don't think it.
So it's
very odd.
Now here's where it gets crazy. Okay.
Right.
You make this video. It's satirical, saying punch a Nazi, and you talk about if you post the frog meme, Pepe, they're going to beat you up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We just heard that a Trump supporter, somebody who goes to these rallies, got stabbed several times, and he's in LA right now, and he had to get 12-hour surgery. This guy Tony, and I've met this guy before. I'm in a photo having dinner with these guys. I don't know him really well or anything. I've met a couple times, but he's been nice to me. And now we're hearing that he was attacked with people screaming "You're gonna get shanked, white boy." We don't know if it's politically motivated, but I feel like look, you've dedicated a lot of time to making this joke, doing this video, so you've definitely heard of this. What do you think is heading in our future when we're hearing about stabbings and shootings?
I think when you justify violence to a group of people, it's going to get out of hand at any point. To me, that's always been. I feel like it's a pretty basic thing to think, right? It's not a controversial view.
I literally tweeted it.
Yeah, right? You shouldn't beat people down for having thoughts.
Yeah.
Right? Is that not?
I mean,
it's a pretty rational stance.
I agree, right?
Yeah.
But I guess the crazy thing is, the far left disagrees.
Yeah. Well, you know what it is? I feel like it's because they hear the word Nazi, right? And they don't think oh, this is a person who thinks about, or this isn't somebody who agrees with Nazis. They kind of make it synonymous with, someone who's killed Jews.
Yeah.
So it makes it justifiable to beat them up. But it's at the end of the day, a Nazi, right? Like Richard Spencer, if you want to, I don't know what he is. I honestly don't care.
It's a white nationalist.
White nationalist, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, he hasn't killed anybody. He hasn't done harm upon anybody, as far as I know. There's no grounds to cause harm to this person. It's pretty standard. I don't know. I guess it's controversial now.
For me, it's if someone's standing on a street corner just talking, they haven't crossed the line to where you run up and punch them in the face.
Exactly.
And if and this is my personal opinion, one of the few things that I will actually talk about when it comes to opinion is free expression.
Right.
Richard Spencer, I completely disagree with him because, for one, I'm a mixed race human being, right? So the idea of an ethno-state doesn't work for literally my existence. So I try to understand him. I talk to him, and if he wants to stand on the street corner and just talk about that, okay. But then when you cross that line and say I'm going to punch him for doing that, the main problem, again, my opinion, is that we end up in a point where eventually someone punches you for your opinion.
And then you have no ground to stand on.
Yeah,
you've justified it in the past.
Horrifying world. So to round off, I guess to finish off the political talk, right. What do you think? What do you see? I mean, look, you do comedy and right. commentary. What do you see for the future with this violence and this fighting?
I think it's just going to get worse. Honestly, I feel like it
feels like that.
I can't feel any other way. Every day there's something new that you hear about.
I just literally heard the stabbing. Yeah,
It's-
another
it's ju-
attack.
yeah, it's getting to the point where I feel like this is just going to be a daily occurrence.
And
At one point, it's going to be every day. We're going to hear about something like this.
We
It
almost
probably already
are.
happens.
I mean, London attack, then followed the next day Paris attack.
Right.
Now we're hearing this Trump supporter stabbed. It's like just last week or not even a week ago, this guy in Virginia shot the politicians up with a rifle.
Right.
I mean, and a month ago we had the guy with the bike lock. This stuff just keeps happening.
And it's odd because I feel like it's like with the bike lock person. It was a teacher.
Yeah,
it was a teacher at
Antifa.
Is insane. It's turning. I feel like the political landscape right now is turning normal people
Crazy.
insane. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like as
Polarizing.
I mean, this is kind of a bit of a tangent, but like I don't know if it's the fact that because traditional religion is kind of like not as big anymore that we're finding new ways to dogmatize things, and so politics has kind of taken that realm. But I've never felt quite as divided, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I feel you, and I think, I guess like this final thought I had as it pertains to politics is like I said in the beginning, you're like a lefty guy, you know. I did the political compass test and posted to Twitter to like make a statement that yes, I'm center left libertarian, and we can be critical of the left but still be left. But it's basically like because you make jokes about social justice, that somehow represents your views on like government policy and economics. You know, it doesn't. It's like the correlation doesn't make sense.
Well, I tweeted not too long ago. Like I was curious, so I asked, "It's like, what does alt-right even mean at this point?" Because I've seen the label thrown around so often to so many different people that I know for a fact are not right-leaning at all. So I put out that question, and what a lot of the responses that I got were along the lines of, "Oh, you asking that question makes the alt-right attitude more palatable."
You're like
To
legitimizing
moderates.
it.
Yeah, you're legitimizing it. It's like, no, I'm not. I'm asking a question. I'm literally asking a very, very benign question.
But here's the main point that I'm trying to drive, like, is that the average person who is like on the left isn't this fringe crazy person trying to shut down free speech who's attacking you on the internet. And we see these people who like insult you and call you names, but there's media personalities that do it. And that's what kind of is alarming to me, that when I talk to the average liberal, they're very moderate. They're like, yeah, you know, I don't like Trump as a person. I don't think he should be president, but, you know, it is what it is. That's like, I did a video about this. That's literally what they told me.
Like he won. It's like, all right, let's see where he goes.
Yeah, it's like, you know, people talking about the things they can do to improve things with the situation we have. But then when it comes to the internet and these news stories, everyone's like, could not be further left. They're like in Stalin territory of authoritarian left. You know, it seems like. Okay, let's end the politics and wrap this up with Mr. Raygun. What do you have next? You've done these social justice videos. They're funny. Do you have any future plans that you can talk about?
I'll talk about. I don't have anything in motion specifically yet. I have an alt-right the musical that I'm conceptualizing right now. It needs to be good, so I'm taking a lot of time with it, but it exists.
And then as soon as that comes out, they'll stop calling you a Nazi and start calling you a cuck.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Rad, man. So, any final thoughts you want to say on what we talked about or anything?
No, I really love the work you're doing. Honestly, yeah.
Thank you.
I've been watching you for a while.
Oh, cool, man.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
so I'm really happy to see that like it's kind of blowing up.
So, are you just youtube.com/Chris Raygun?
I think so. Yeah.
You think?
I don't know. I had my channel since like back in the day, so it's probably some retarded URL.
I mean,
I use that word.
The R word.
The R word.
Philip DeFranco had straight edge Phil for a while, but he changed that. It was it was SXE Phil.
Right, it was SXE
he's, like,
Phil. That's
straight
how I
edge
remember him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure youtube.com/Chris Raygun will work.
Right. And what's your Twitter?
At Chris R Gun, because Raygun was stolen.
Ah, bummer. Right on, man. Well, thanks for sitting down and having a conversation with me. I look forward to your alt-right the musical and the backlash you get because of it, because clearly there's no room for nuance in this world anymore.
I'm excited.
All right. So thank you all for hanging out and listening to us talk about these issues. If you like the video, please click the like button, because that tells YouTube that my channel is good and then gets YouTube to share it with other people. But more importantly, comment below and let me know what you think, because I always say this, but the conversation is the most important thing. The fact that we can carry on from this dialogue with what you guys have to say, it's how we bridge this divide and get more ideas out there. So I appreciate all of you for watching. If you want to support my work, go to patreon.com/Timcast. Give whatever you'd like or give nothing at all. My videos will always be here every day, 4 p.m. Eastern. stay tuned because I'll have another video for you tomorrow. I will be at VidCon, so if you're in the LA area, feel free to come by and hang out, and I'll see you then.